Try this for just a moment. Close your eyes and hear that one phrase, let it be. Now ask yourself, what if that simple lyric from the Beatles holds a deeper truth? Not just comfort in chaos, but a path toward inner freedom? In a world where we're constantly pushed to fix, to control, to figure things out? What if peace doesn't come from answers, but from allowing things to be as they are? The phrase let it be might sound passive to some, but in Buddhist wisdom, it points to something far more profound: the radical courage to stop resisting life. Buddhism begins with a simple yet unshakable truth. Suffering is part of life. No one escapes it. Not the rich, not the wise, not even the spiritual. We suffer because we hold on tightly to what we want, to how things should be, to people, plans, and expectations. And the tighter we grip, the more we hurt. Think of the last time you were deeply disappointed. Was it really the event that broke you? Or was it your inner voice whispering, it wasn't supposed to be this way? In Buddhist philosophy, this is where the seed of suffering begins: resistance. Now imagine this instead: standing in the middle of a storm, not trying to stop the wind, not wishing the clouds away, but softening your stance, relaxing your grip, and allowing the storm to pass through you rather than against you. That's the essence of let it be. But this doesn't mean you stop caring. Letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. It's realizing that clinging to what we can't control only creates tension, while acceptance creates space. This is where Buddhist wisdom meets the modern mind. In a world that teaches us to hustle harder, fight more, and chase perfection, Buddhism invites us to pause, to see clearly, to let go gently. And it starts not with huge acts of detachment, but in small, everyday moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, can you let it be? When plans fall apart, can you let go of your version of how it should have gone? When a loved one disappoints you, can you choose presence over punishment? These aren't just spiritual ideals. They are daily practices that heal. Because when you stop resisting what is, you begin to make peace with it. And when you make peace with life, life begins to make peace with you. So the next time you hear let it be, don't just hear a song, hear a doorway, a whisper, a reminder that maybe, just maybe, peace was never about getting it all right. It was about trusting the rhythm and learning to soften into the moment. Let it be, not as resignation, but as revelation. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you feared losing them? So you held on even tighter? But the more you held, the more they slipped away? This is the paradox of attachment. What we try to control, we often end up pushing away. In Buddhist wisdom, non-attachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you love in a way that sets the other person free. True love is not a clenched fist. It's an open palm. Like holding a bird. Grip too tightly and it will struggle to escape. But if you let it rest gently, it may choose to stay. Non-attachment invites us to live with this kind of grace, to care deeply without trying to possess, to act wholeheartedly without being imprisoned by outcomes. With material things, it means using what we have with gratitude, but without letting our identity be defined by them. A home, a car, a title, they are tools, not trophies. They serve us. We don't serve them. With relationships, it means loving fully while respecting the other person's freedom. You don't need to control someone to stay close. You just need to be present and real. With goals, it means giving your best effort without tying your self-worth to success or failure. The process itself becomes the practice. The journey, not the destination, is where peace is found. And with thoughts, it means noticing the mind's noise without clinging to every story it tells. You are not your anxiety. You are not your anger. You are the awareness behind the thought, the sky, not the passing clouds. Letting go doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. It turns fear into trust and control into compassion. So next time life asks you to release something, whether it's a possession, a plan, or a person, ask yourself, am I holding on out of love or out of fear? True peace begins when we learn to hold everything in life lightly, with presence, not possession. Letting go doesn't make us weak. It clears a quiet space where something deeper begins to rise. And in that space, we come face to face with the next truth. Understanding suffering and its roots. Because even when we live simply, love gently, and loosen our grip on life, suffering still finds its way in. It doesn't knock loudly. It waits, in the silence after a goodbye, in the hollowness of an unmet dream, in the quiet ache of something we can't quite name. So the question arises, why do we still suffer even when we try to let go? Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha didn't start his teachings with a promise of happiness. He began with honesty. He spoke of the Four Noble Truths, the heart of Buddhist wisdom. The first noble truth: suffering exists. Pain is part of being human. No one escapes it, not the wealthy, not the wise, not even the awakened. The second noble truth: there is a cause of suffering. We suffer not just because things go wrong, but because we resist how things are. We cling to people, plans, feelings, identities, hoping they will stay forever. But life is impermanent, and when we try to hold on to what is always changing, we inevitably hurt. Think about a broken relationship. It's not just the ending that hurts. It's our inner voice saying it shouldn't have ended. Or the loss of someone we love, not just grief, but the ache of, why did this have to happen? That resistance is where suffering deepens. The third noble truth: there is a way out. Freedom is possible, not through avoidance, but through understanding. Not by escaping life, but by facing it with clarity and compassion. The fourth noble truth: the Eightfold Path. A practical guide to living with awareness, wisdom, and integrity, so that suffering no longer controls us. This path doesn't promise a life without pain, but it offers something more honest, a way to stop turning pain into suffering, because pain is part of life, but suffering is what we add to it. And sometimes the most healing thing we can do isn't to fix what hurts, but to stop fighting it, to soften, breathe, and ask, what am I still resisting? The answer to that question may be the beginning of true freedom. When we begin to understand why we suffer and realize that the pain doesn't come from what happened, but from how we resist it, another quiet truth starts to reveal itself. There is nothing permanent for us to hold on to, and that opens the door to the next lesson, the truth of impermanence, the very nature of life. Impermanence is something we've all heard of, but few of us truly live with it. Buddhism calls it anicca, the truth that everything in life is constantly changing. Seasons pass, emotions fade. The people we love may one day leave. A body once strong will slowly weaken with time. Everything, even ourselves, exists within a stream that never stops flowing. What causes suffering is not that life changes, but that we resist that change. We try to hold on to a person, a moment, a beautiful feeling. But the tighter we cling, the faster it slips away. Like trying to hold water in our hands, the more we squeeze, the more we lose. But when we see through the eyes of mindfulness, we realize this: it is impermanence that makes life so precious. A sunset is beautiful not because it lasts, but because it fades. A piece of music moves us not because it's endless, but because it ends. Presence becomes meaningful precisely because it cannot be repeated. And in this lesson, we learn to be grateful for the present. When something ends, instead of asking, why did this happen? We can ask, what is this teaching me? Loss is real, but so is the lesson underneath it. I once knew a man named Matthew, a gentle father who lived in a quiet wooden house in the forest. Every morning he would make tea for his wife, and together they would sit on an old rocking chair, watching sunlight filter through the trees. They did this for 27 years, until one morning she didn't wake up. He still made 2 cups of tea, still sat on the porch, and quietly said, I knew this day would come, but it still hurts. Matthew understood something many spend a lifetime avoiding. Impermanence doesn't take away what we love to punish us. It reminds us that nothing is forever, so we must show up fully for every moment we have. That's why impermanence is not a threat. It's an invitation to live fully, to be grateful, and to let go when the time is right. We don't have to hold on to everything. We only need to be truly present and let life flow, gently, as it always has. And if we truly embrace impermanence as a companion, without resentment, without clinging, we'll naturally want to live more deeply with what is still here. Not tomorrow, not when things finally settle down, but right now, while we can still breathe, still feel, still love. To genuinely live in this very moment, we need a capacity that has always existed within us, yet is rarely understood or used wisely. That capacity is mindfulness, and it is this quiet power that opens a new doorway on the journey home, the very path we're about to explore in the next part of today's video. There are moments in life when we're physically present but spiritually absent, awake but not truly alive. We eat but don't taste. We speak but don't listen. We breathe but forget we're breathing. In the rush of doing, we've forgotten how to be. Mindfulness is not a ritual reserved for monks. It is a quiet power that lives within all of us, waiting to bring us back from the blur of distraction into the stillness of now. It is the thread that ties us to this moment, the only place life ever truly exists. Buddhism teaches that most of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from our unconscious reaction to it. We don't just experience pain, we rehearse it. We don't just feel anger, we fuel it with stories. Without mindfulness, we live as puppets pulled by emotion, habit, and fear. But the moment we become aware, truly aware, we interrupt the autopilot. We see the thought before it becomes a storm. We feel the tension before it becomes a wound. We hear the silence before it becomes a scream. That is the power of mindfulness. It turns reaction into reflection, chaos into clarity. It's not about escaping life, it's about arriving in it, right here, right now, with all your senses open, with all your heart awake. Even the most ordinary acts, drinking tea, walking to the mailbox, listening to the rain, become sacred when touched by presence. Because it's not what you're doing that matters most. It's the quality of how you're doing it, with rush or with reverence, with judgment or with compassion. To live mindfully is not to control life. It is to meet life fully, to allow sorrow without drowning in it, to hold joy without clinging to it, to stand still in the center of the storm and realize, I am still here. In a world that glorifies speed, mindfulness is a rebellion, a return, a remembering that you are not your thoughts, you are not your fear, you are the witness beneath them, calm, clear, alive. So if you've been looking for peace, don't look further. Look closer. The breath you're taking right now is where your life begins again. When we live with mindfulness, we stop reacting unconsciously to every emotion and situation. We pause, we listen, and we begin to see things as they truly are. But in that clarity, where our desires, disappointments, and helplessness become unmistakably visible, we encounter a deeper challenge. How do we not rush to change what cannot yet be changed? How do we accept what still feels unacceptable? And it is precisely in that moment that a new quality must be cultivated, the gentle strength of patience and the deep courage of acceptance. That is what the next part of our journey invites us to explore. In a world obsessed with speed, patience has become a forgotten virtue. We are taught to push, strive, and demand outcomes. Faster, better, now. But what happens when life doesn't follow our schedule? When healing takes longer than expected, when results don't show up on time, or when people don't change the way we wish they would? We suffer. Not because of what's happening, but because of how much we want it to be different. This is the hidden root of frustration, our silent insistence that life must move according to our plan. But reality moves in its own rhythm, and resistance to that rhythm only creates more tension. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing to walk alongside reality instead of constantly fighting it. Like standing in line at a crowded store, getting angry won't make the line move faster. It only makes the wait more painful. When we let go of the internal pressure, something unexpected appears. Peace. To be patient is to trust the unseen. A seed doesn't bloom the day after it's planted. It rests, takes root, reaches slowly toward the sun. Your growth, your healing, your clarity, they all follow the same quiet process. And perhaps most importantly, we must practice patience not just with the world, but with ourselves. The journey inward is not a straight line. Some days you'll feel strong, other days broken. That's okay. What matters is not how fast you move, but how gently you keep going. Letting it be doesn't mean being passive. It means respecting the pace of life. It means loosening our grip on control and opening ourselves to what this moment is asking from us, not what our ego demands from it. Because the truth is, some of the most beautiful transformations happen in silence, slowly, imperceptibly, like winter melting into spring, not with a bang, but with a breath. And the breath is enough. And when we begin to live with patience and acceptance, without rushing, without forcing, we come to realize something even more profound. Not everything needs to be fixed. Some things simply need to be let go. That's when the philosophy of let it be flows into our lives effortlessly, like the next breath we don't have to chase. We've all had moments when patience runs thin, when the waiting feels endless and our hearts ache for things to finally go our way. But after a while, something inside whispers. Maybe it's not about forcing the moment, but about softening into it. And that softening is where the let it be philosophy begins, not as a passive surrender, but as an active trust. In Buddhist thought, wisdom isn't locked in temples or scrolls. It's found in the way we move through ordinary life, the way we exhale after hearing news we didn't expect, the way we respond to someone who doesn't meet our hopes, the way we choose presence over resistance when life shifts direction. Letting it be doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the illusion that we're in control of every outcome. It means doing what we can and then releasing our grip. It's not passivity, it's peace with participation. You can still have dreams, show up fully, and give your heart to what matters. But when you're living this way, the outcome no longer owns your joy. Whether things go as planned or fall apart, your inner peace remains intact because you've stopped hinging it on what's outside of you. This is what let it be looks like in everyday life. You take a deep breath when the line is long. You nod gently when someone disappoints you. You smile with acceptance when your plan unravels. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you've remembered that clinging doesn't fix anything. And perhaps the greatest act of trust is this: allowing life to unfold at its own rhythm, like leaves falling in their own time, like tides turning without our command. Some things bloom when they're ready, not when we shout at them to hurry. Letting it be is not weakness, it's alignment with truth. It's the quiet strength of saying, I will do my part, and I will let the rest be. And in that spaciousness, something begins to shift, not outside, but within. After learning to flow with life instead of resisting it, we arrive at a quieter realization. Not everything deserves to walk with us on the road ahead. That's the next philosophical lesson we're invited to embrace. Letting go of what no longer serves us. Letting go is not a loss, it's liberation. In Buddhist thought, true renunciation means choosing clarity over clutter, peace over possession. It's not about rejecting yourself, it's about respecting yourself. Each of us has carried things that once felt essential. Old dreams, rigid expectations, toxic relationships, or even the need to be right. But when these things begin to weigh us down, holding on to them is no longer strength. It becomes suffering. Imagine clinging tightly to a burning coal just to prove you've been hurt. Who gets burned? The one who refuses to let go. Letting go is not weakness, it's courage. It takes a deep inner strength to release what no longer nourishes the soul. And in that release, we make space for what truly matters. Stillness, presence, compassion. Renunciation is not an escape from life. It is a more honest way of living it. It asks us to stop being paralyzed by excess, to stop chasing validation, and to stop replaying old wounds. Living simply doesn't mean having less. It means waking up more. Even this body is only temporary. So how much more so the opinions, the grudges, the attachments we grip so tightly? Every time we forgive someone, we drop a stone from our heart. Every time we choose presence over performance, we reclaim a piece of our inner freedom. Letting go is not the end of caring. It is the beginning of clarity. When we find the courage to let go of what no longer serves our path, we become lighter, clearer, and truly ready for something even deeper. To stop trying to control everything. Because not everything needs to be held on to, and not every current needs to be directed. And from that very stillness, the final teaching emerges. Let go of control. Trust the flow of life. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from trying to make everything turn out exactly as we want. It's the fatigue of wrestling with reality, of clinging to our timelines, our should-have-beens, our rigid plans. Control gives the illusion of safety, but often it is the very thing that tightens the knot of anxiety. Letting go of control is not giving up, it's waking up. Waking up to the truth that life doesn't need our constant micromanagement, that we are not the architects of every outcome, but we can be the guardians of our peace. When you stop insisting that life fit your script, something surprising happens. Life begins to speak in its own gentle language. You begin to notice the pauses, the turns, the unexpected doors that were hidden behind your expectations. The Buddhist path is not passive surrender, it is active trust. A trust born not from blind hope, but from deep listening, from recognizing that what unfolds, however uncertain, may hold a wisdom your plans never could. Imagine a leaf floating down a stream. It does not fight the water, it moves with it, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always carried. When you stop needing to control every detail, you create space for grace. You become more present, less tense. Your joy is no longer tied to perfection, but to presence. And you begin to live from a place that is soft, but not weak, yielding, but deeply wise. Control demands certainty. Trust invites freedom. And the moment you trust the flow of life, you stop bracing against it and start dancing with it. Let It Be is not just a song lyric. It's a way of being, a quiet strength, a soft rebellion against the noise of control, fear, and endless striving. In a world that constantly pushes us to fix, to chase, to prove, there's something radical in choosing to pause, to soften, to trust. Letting go isn't giving up, it's returning. Returning to the part of you that knows. Not everything must be solved, and not every storm must be resisted. Some things are meant to pass through us like wind through trees, and sometimes peace comes not from holding tighter, but from opening our hands. You are not weak for choosing calm. You are not lost for not having every answer. In fact, choosing peace in a world addicted to chaos might be the most courageous act you'll ever take. So today, if even a small part of you felt seen, heard, or held by these words, don't let it fade. Anchor it with intention. Comment below. What is one thing you're ready to let go of? Or what is one promise you'll whisper to yourself moving forward? And if this message found you at the right time, stay close. This channel is a space for healing, clarity, and quiet strength. Subscribe, share this video with someone who needs it, and remember, the present moment is always waiting for your return.